And joining me now is Sharlonda Buckman. She's the Executive Director of Family and Community Engagement with DPSCD Foundation. Sharlonda, it's really good to see you up here.
Oh, it's good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So, a lot of conversation is centering around education and specifically looking at Detroit and where the district has been now in this first year of Dr. Vidi's tenure as superintendent.
Absolutely.
What are some of the misconceptions you think people have or are talking to you about up here on Mackinac Island about DPSCD?
I actually think the energy has changed around Detroit Public Schools Community District. I think it's changed, and I think that our new superintendent has a lot to do with that and the team that he's actually built. I think we have leverage partners who are really willing to get involved and help us get this work done. So unlike in years past where there was a question mark around the future or the fate of our public school system, I think there has been a lot of restored confidence in people aligning to help us rebuild Detroit Public Schools. So I feel pretty good about it.
And the parents that you talk to, are they feeling that same thing? Because again, the instability from year after year and having your kids go through a system that you're not quite sure how it's going to be each year.
Oh, yeah.
Do they find that there's more confidence now?
I think it's building. I think because of what you just mentioned, I think we have a lot of trust building to do. I think, generally people are feeling like there is hope. I think you have many of our parents who are watching what happens, not just what's being said, and see evidence of us moving in the right direction. Many of the family and community engagement efforts that we put forward, I would say primarily parent-teacher home visit, where we have roughly 500 parents doing visits, having conversations with parents around what are your hopes and your dreams for your child and setting goals. I think those are the things that help us rebuild trust and the confidence that has been lost over years and what this community has been through. So I think it's a building job. I think we will get there, but I certainly think that the energy has turned and is favoring the trajectory that we're on.
Talk to me a little bit about the work that you're doing with parents with the district right now, because so many times we can talk about funding and we can talk about the conditions of buildings and we can talk about staffing, but people will also step back and say, well, it's got to be family that makes sure their kids get to school and are invested in their education. I don't think that you would talk to a parent around that's not invested in wanting their child to succeed, but there's so many different barriers and challenges to that. Talk to me a little bit about what you're doing to help out in that area.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're very intentional about is that we cannot rebuild the public school system without our parents and our families as key stakeholders. And quite honestly, I think we have some of the best parents in the world just because they have stood in the gap for many years, absent leadership and absent the supports that they actually deserve. They've invested their best with us, and our job is to give them our very best. So we have implemented a number of best practices. We have launched Parent Academy, which is an inside-outside strategy for us, serving parents within the district, but also leveraging many partners to help us serve parents comprehensively around professional and personal development. So we have parents who've become phlebotomists in the last several weeks with partners who are providing that training. We're also focused on parenting skills and advocacy, understanding that we have a lot of our children who need special supports and we need their parents to be advocates for them. And then we also focus on student achievement, and our academic team has done a good job of helping develop courses that help parents understand what their children should be learning and also give them a little bit more context around the work and ways to support. And so we'll be launching a homework hotline to really position parents to be the first teacher, but also be able to support their kids effectively. So I think Parent Academy is one piece. I mentioned parent-teacher home visit. Can't say enough about it. I think we have to create a culture of care. I think we're doing that. I've had parents who had a different impression of what their school was decide to send their other kids, which may have been split between different schools, to the same school because teachers are visiting their homes. I think that we've also become a PTA district again, and in that vein, that's a best practice across the country.
How does that make a difference, do you think?
I think it creates a platform for parents and teachers to work together versus everybody working in their own silo. And I think that has been one of our challenges in the district, that in order for us to move forward, we have to work together. And that way, teachers are more sensitive to some of the issues that are coming up because they're hearing it directly from the parents, and vice versa, as parents are thinking about what children need and how to support the school, that they have the influence and the voice of teachers in those circles. So I think creating those type of shared platforms where there's shared discussion and the focus is primarily on children. I think those kinds of things are essential deposits that matter when you're rebuilding the school district.
How difficult is it, or what is the challenge in making sure that you have good contact with the families, or even tracking families down? Because we know that there's a mobility issue where kids are at one school one year and then they go someplace else just by virtue of economy or parents moving or different kinds of circumstance. How do you make sure that parents start engaging in the services that you have readily available for them?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think we have a that type of instability that happens across our community, and certainly impacts children and impacts the school district. I've always believed that you serve parents and families where they are, and if people believe that you care about them, then they will also stay connected to you. And so I think the Home Visit Project is all about serving parents where they are. I think Parent Academy is not something that is in a standing building, but it's actually mobile and serves inside the school district and in and around the community. So there's various access points where people can get connected to the work. I think for us, being sensitive and understanding what the barriers are, leveraging our partners like one of my former employers, Detroit Parent Network, and other organizations that help us to support families around what the need is. So if the need is a uniform, if the need is because there's some health concerns. I think for us, being good listeners and leveraging those partners who want to be helpful and seeing the district be successful. Again, we have a long way to go, but I do think that there is evidence that we're turning that corner. And I think making these deposits is helping us stabilize in a way that just has not been there before.
What do you say to parents in terms of time when they say, well, when can I expect this, or when can we expect everything to be fine again? What is your answer to them?
Right. I think, rightfully so, parents are impatient about change, but I think understanding that now we have solid leadership in place, understanding that you don't have to convince the superintendent to be communicative around issues or to make decisions that put children first. I think Dr. Vitti has shown that. And so I think that helps parents want to go a little further with us. It ignites them to say, I want to stay the course. I want to be involved. I trust you with my children. I'm going to give this a chance. So I think we have to continue to make those deposits. We have to continue to be good listeners. And as we listen to folks across this conference this week, even talk about, are students ready? We talk about, are we preparing our students? Parents have a role to play in that. And I think we're using things like Parent Academy and some of the other shared leadership platforms to be able to do that. The other thing I do want to lift up, and this is a big piece for me this week, because when you look at progressive school districts across the country, they've established a shared decision-making body. We are also rolling out school advisory councils. Our board just approved the policy around that. And this is a group of folks who will serve as champions for that school, if you will. So it's representative of parents, but also students and teachers. The principal will co-lead. The faith-based community is represented. But this is a significant opportunity for our businesses to get involved and to be represented and go a little deeper into work with us to rebuild our schools. So they'll focus on things like marketing, recruitment, branding. They'll have a state of the school address where we bring the school community together to talk about, how's the school doing? What are the things we can brag about? What do we need help with? How do we leverage support? It'll be for principals, sort of like a think tank, if you will, so that there's additional ownership and investment built around our schools.
I was just going to say ownership, really, of saying this is our tiny community. Of course, we are part of the whole.
That's right.
But if you invest in that, and really the role of a principal in leading a school and making sure that he or she is working with teachers, that the teachers feel that they are supported and trusted and given the tools to be able what they can do in the classroom is a big deal.
Absolutely. It's a big deal. It's a tough job. It's probably one of the toughest jobs in the district. And I think the way that I view the work around family and community engagement is how do we better support our building leaders to be able to do that work. I think the school advisory councils is another way to do it. And clearly you can see the parallel between doing marketing, recruitment, making decisions around attendance plans and behavior plans. You can see the correlation of how the business and faith community and all of our stakeholders could play a role in helping to create an environment where we have a positive culture where our children can thrive. So we are actually making an appeal for many of our businesses who are inclined to go deeper in this work to do, as our superintendent says, pick up your brick and help us rebuild.
Well, we look forward to watching the progress. Sharlonda
Absolutely.
Buckman, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank
It's good
you so
to
much
see
for
you.
having me. Absolutely.
Okay.